Hello, this is Deacon Joseph Swaden, and we're back here at the Orthodox Apologetics channel, going back to the topic of how to do Orthodox apologetics. Now, just to make sure you don't have to watch every video, I'm going to go over the rules, and we're going to go over the next rule, which is time management. Don't forget, start here. Rule 0, everything revolves around having faith. If you do not have faith, if you are doubting, it's better to go to church and speak to your priest than it is to do Orthodox apologetics. So have faith. If you have faith, even if you're new, God will help you, but you have to believe. Rule number 1, have some idea of what you're talking about. This is an important rule, especially today. And we're going to, all of these rules work together, but you definitely want to have a basic understanding of Orthodox teachings. In the previous episode, I recommended a survey of Orthodoxy that was done in Pocket Church History by Father Aidan Keller, which can be found at fatheralexander.org. Still don't know who's running that site. Rule number 2, categorization. Knowing how to find something is better than trying to memorize everything. This is an incredibly important rule because the church fathers and the sources of our faith, the liturgy, so on and so forth, are vast, vast, vast amounts of text. Memorizing in an information era is not smart. It's good to know them. It's good to memorize some things, but you can't memorize everything. And if you're doing apologetics, you will be shot from the right, as we will see today when we deal with the next rule. Use the consensus Patrum. It is very easy to quote an isolated father. It is not easy to use the fullness of the fathers to see what a teaching is. This is extremely important. Your top sources are going to be your catechism, your ecumenical synods. Those are the things you want to be using. And the pan-Orthodox synods. Don't fall for that whole, there's only 7 councils you've got there. No, we have more councils. Go back to that survey, find those texts, use those texts. Rule number 4, context is everything. As we demonstrated in the last how-to, it is often very common with both Protestants and Catholics. Protestants will take Bible verses out of context. So will Muslims, by the way. Muslims are really bad at it. And Roman Catholics will take the church fathers out of context. Very, very common. So you want to use context. If you want a little more explanation, I recommend our last video before the apology video. And that gets us to rule number 5, value your time. I'm going to see if I can make this a little bit clearer. Orthodoxy comprises approximately 300 million people on Earth. Roman Catholicism, by contrast, about 1 billion. I believe Protestants a little under 1 billion. The point is, you are outnumbered. If you are on this show if you're watching this show as an Orthodox Christian, just assume you are outnumbered. This is important because out of all the people talking, you may have a point, but 8 out of 10 times the other person doesn't. And we're going to go into a little more detail about that right now. Okay, so let's see here. We've got that ready. Let me just quickly share my screen. I used one of these fake Facebook things to produce what I consider to be a fairly realistic, I guess you could say, online battle. Because this sort of thing happens for, you go to one of these, Orthodox versus, Roman Catholic or versus Protestant or stuff like that, East and West Mead or, one of these online groups where people fight, which for me is all of them. Then, you'll probably write something genius. It'll be great. It'll be like this. And so you'll see, if we talk about the last example we used, that example from St. Clement, which was, 2 sentences, which had been taken 60 chapters apart. You can see what was written there. You write this, you've established, okay, this is a false quote from that Roman Catholic apologetics page, doing papal infallibility. You're like, this is great. You've answered, you've made a point that this is not acceptable. It is not a good quote. Okay, and then you're like, you made your point well. That's fantastic. And so then you go and you're like, okay, you know what? I think it's time for lunch. So I'm gonna go to just gonna just head over to Burger King, and it looks like a kid's meal with a triple Whopper. I just noticed that the Happy King guy is on it. Okay, I don't know. It must be a really big kid. But the point is, you have your delicious triple Whopper with fries, unless you're watching this on a Wednesday or a Friday, in which case I'm sorry. Um, but you get your lunch. An hour passes. You've had your delicious meal, and it's been great. And then basically, you think you've come back to, you know, just open up your Facebook, say hi to Aunt Melinda or something, and then you realize that a whole bunch of people have written back. And so this is where we get to. This is a Facebook status generator. I love this thing. Apparently, you can't upload pictures to it. Otherwise, I would have been a hamburger and Randy. And okay, anyway, the point is that, okay, so once you look at this, the first thing you're going to see is that if you have a whole bunch of people writing you at this point must start valuing your time. Remember, you are outnumbered. So you can start tossing out ones you don't care about. Yes, it does. Bye. It's obvious that this quote is one of hundreds. Why do you hate the Catholic Church? This is an emotional appeal. Bye. So now you get to the next person who actually goes back to that very same article where you just debunked one of the quotes and then puts 3 more quotes. This is a time wasting attempt. In the first place, the person that you're talking to clearly hasn't read those quotes in full. They have not read the context. They've literally cut, pasted an argument. At that point, your proper response is to go back to your original argument. Do not waste time with another quote until they cede that they were wrong on the first one. Because if they don't, if they're already convinced they're right, they don't care what you wrote. That's why they're just quoting from the rest of the document. So you must get them to admit, first off, that they were wrong, that first quote was wrong. If you get that done, congratulations. Now you can move forward because they have admitted error. But 90% of the time, the people you are arguing with have not admitted error. They are diverting. And so you will be wasting your time if you begin to try to answer these. By the way, these are really easy. This one comes up all the time. It's the Propter Principalitan. That's don't even want to get into St. Ignatius. St. Cyprian condemned Pope Stephen in council, so it shows how much value that had. This one, again, now it's funny because sometimes you'll see the same. I put this up intentionally the way I did because sometimes you'll see the exact same quote put up like it's a real proof. By the way, this is for papal infallibility, so this means nothing. And so you'll see people quoting from other pages. Saint Irenaeus does the Propter Potentiarum Principalitum, which just means most powerful principality, which means the seat of the empire. So no one cares. And so this particular fan, I guess, will then begin to spam out all the quotes from a page. Once again, the proper response is to go back to the beginning. If they have not ceded that first quote was an error, then they're just spamming you. And if you try to answer all of them, you're wasting your time. Now, let's say they do cede it. At that point, the next smart move would be if you've got friends, you should invite them because, quite frankly, when you're dealing with 50 people at once or 20 people at once, however many it is, can become very, very time consuming. You can spend all day on social media fighting. I know because I have. And so you don't want to do that. What you want to do is have a life. And so, once again, you are outnumbered. Therefore, you are a valuable commodity. Value your time. So ask yourself, if someone is cutting and pasting quotes from a page, clearly they haven't read the full quote, so on and so forth. Do you want to waste time with them? My initial answer would be no. Unless they are willing to engage you and engage the quotes in question realistically. It's a waste of time to do that. So that's another type of time waster. This person, humanist of love, goodbye. Okay, guy who makes no point that has anything to do with what you wrote. Bye. Guy who puts in a YouTube video. This is possibly the most annoying type of person that you have to answer, because now you're not only going to have to waste time researching, you're going to have to waste time watching a video, and if it's on reason and theology, it might not be that good. So the point is, don't waste your time. If you waste your time on stuff like this, it's going to affect you. And it's psychological wear down. This is one of the things that I hate to say this, but Roman Catholic and often even Protestant apologists like using, which is strength in numbers. If you're fighting 100 people, it's going to be really, really hard to do. This is part of the reason why I call your friends. 2 people can fight 100 people much more easily than 1 person can. But more importantly, you can also divide up labor. If you're seeing people are really engaging your arguments and you're seeing that people are actually trying to figure out the truth, you want to help them. So, the more the merrier. Make the party bigger. And eventually, if it's just, some sort of trap where they're trying to just wear people down, your friends can't get on, you're stuck by yourself, it's a trap. Don't waste your time. So again, let's get back to the screen here. Valuing your time is everything in this. And so make sure that whenever you are dealing with a situation in apologetics, that you are always making sure that your time is being taken care of. And it's very easy to get caught in an online mob. Analyze that mob with a quick scan and see how much of it is really worth it. How much of it can be answered by something that is already online. How much of it refers back to like the papacy by Abba-Gute, who answered like half of those elementary quotes. I highly recommend the papacy by Abba-Gute, whether in book form or online. It is free. The point is, a lot of these elementary arguments can be thrown out, but these elementary arguments are great for practice because they teach you what is worth your time and what is not. Cut and pasters, generally not worth your time. People who analyze your arguments, people who analyze what the fathers are saying and are listening, worth your time. So that's what you need to take into account here. And this is pre-recorded because I value my time. Have a great day, everyone, and thank you for listening, for liking, subscribing, all that fun stuff. And this will be on YouTube and Odyssey. Have a great day, everyone. And happy feast of St. Miron.